two niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me, and Justin Brown for your movie needs. Medium popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. All that I needed was you in my life. You're so right. All that I wanted was you. Brandon?
You got the right stuff, baby. Don't know any other words.
The right stuff.
Oh no.
What's going on, y'all? This is Justin Brown, and this is come on,
Eddie
Brandon.
Collins. This is weird. Why are you doing it?
Because I kicked it off, nigga. I kicked it off.
Why you gotta call me a nigga from the beginning? Like, why can't we just be cordial?
Because it's 2024, and I'm calling people now.
You were so angry. What's happening? Did you have a good New Year's? What's going on, Justin?
No, it was all right. It was all right. I ain't got nothing to complain about. I mean, I do have lots of things to complain about, but I ain't gonna complain. But guys, this is Medium Popcorn and Spoiling Movies.
That's right.
We out here. We about to spoil a movie, and if you haven't seen it, how dare you? Because we are jumping into the 2023 film American Fiction, starring the wonderful Jeffrey Wright.
That's right. Jeffrey Wright, who is one of the most underrated actors of his generation. Fucking phenomenal in everything he does. He's always committed. And then he is complimented with a fucking stellar cast. Yep. Tracy Ellis Ross, Sterling K. Brown, Issa Rae.
Yep.
Even Adam Brody had a solid role in this. The mom, what was her name? Leslie Ugams. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Queen. And John Ortiz as the agent made some of the darkest dialogue work.
Yeah.
Because he was saying some foul shit. Like when he made the joke, when he made the reference about shooting yourself, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're dead." I was like, "Yo!" But he made that joke work. It was hilarious.
Well, I mean, like, but you know, people do that.
And all the time.
They don't know how to handle.
I will say, in my experience thus far, with Hollywood niggas or like big time niggas, very similar vibes, especially as a Black creative, right? Because you find yourself having to explain. It's very complicated. Like when you try to be true to yourself as a Black creative and you don't fit a specific mold, but
the expected mold.
Exactly. But the thing also I loved about this movie is the trailers. If you watch the trailers for this Corey Jefferson film, they kind of honey-dicked you. Because they make you think that it's going to be about him writing this book from a very ignorant Black perspective where he capitalizes on like hood expectations and stereotypes and things like that. And that he's dealing with the grief of that. And like, it's going to come out that he wrote this book and it's going to ruin his career. But no, it's very much not like that. It's actually very much focused on his family and him learning to cope with being a complicated person and not blaming other people for. Thelonious Monk Ellison, who's Jeffrey Wright's character.
First of all, that name is wild.
It's a wild name, but he kind of scared me, Justin, because he reminded me of me if I didn't have Tati, honestly. Like that whole exchange with Erica Alexander, shout out to her. She did a phenomenal job as well as Coraline.
Maxine from Living Single.
Of course.
Classic.
But I very much felt like, especially given like family dynamics and things. Obviously, I don't have two siblings the way he does, but I have my grandfather who's in assisted living. It's not the best because of money. Of course, it's always about money. Obviously, he's able to make that work because he sells this book.
Yeah.
Right. But there's a specific loneliness to Monk that leads to bitterness that I've always been fearful of myself going. I've always been worried of going down that self-fulfilling prophecy of I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. People just don't get. it's both like it's almost like big ego, low self esteem. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how Monk carries himself. When
Yeah.
he's going toe to toe with like when the other professors at the school when he gets dismissed and
Hilarious.
shit, and he's just roasting them, but like he ultimately gets suspended, right? He
Yeah.
gets put on leave, and it's just ironic because he is very smart. He knows what he's talking about. He sometimes goes about it the wrong way in a way that's not exactly palatable to people, particularly white people.
Mm.
But um, when he finds himself compromising himself to create this book that he ultimately says he wants to call fuck, um, he realizes that he can he can be multiple things. He doesn't have to just be this one thing that he thinks that put himself in this one box because that closes people off to him. And that's
Yeah.
what Sterling K. Brown, that beautiful scene after the wedding on the beach where he's like, dad had a lot of secrets and you close yourself off and a lot of people love you. Let them love you. All of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was
Just be
that's
yourself. Like
yeah,
if
man.
you're a mess, be a mess. It's okay. We're gonna love
Yeah.
you for that.
Shout out to Sterling K. Brown, man. One of the best actors of the he is one of the best actors of his generation. Like I know I just said that about Jeffrey Wright, but every dude, I remember I saw him in the People versus OJ. I had no idea who this guy was. This is before This Is Us. No idea who this man was. He was so fucking good. And I never do this. I tweeted at him. I was like, dude, I don't know who you are, where you came from, but you were one hell of an actor. And he actually responded. And since then, he did that role in Black Panther, which I still think is one of the best. It's one of the most emotionally powerful moments between a black father and son because it really does speak to the abandonment that a lot of black men feel,
Mm.
particularly with their fathers.
Yeah.
And I still have yet to see a scene in the past 10 years that represents that pain, right? This Is Us, phenomenal. You never watched that show though, right?
I watched a little bit of it. I didn't really
He
get
was
it.
always
I heard
fantastic.
it's really
He was
good.
always it's a tearjerker though. It's one of the few shows that made me fucking cry like a little bitch. But it's okay. We're gonna show emotion 2024. That's my new theme. But he's so fucking good and he's so nice. Every time I've interviewed him, incredibly charming. Everyone who works with him says he's incredible to work with. Really nice guy. I really hope he squeaks in the best actor categories and awards over the next few
Mm.
weeks. As I thought him as Cliff, who's going through his own shit,
Yeah.
incredibly complicated, while he's shredded, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah. He's more cut than Julian Salazar.
But man, when he's dancing with the mom who's in assisted living, and you think it seems like it's this really sweet, heartwarming moment, and she's like, "I knew you weren't."
I always knew you were a queen.
No, I always knew you were a queer or something, right?
No, queen. She says a queen,
Oh, okay.
and then he walks out.
No, because there's a
So
reason. It shows you why he's estranged. Because you're kind of
yeah,
like, why is he so far away? Like, Tracy Ellis Ross's character, she complains about her brothers not being there as her mom's getting sicker and sicker, and then you slowly find out why there's such a separation and
well,
everything.
yeah. Well, so to talk about Sterling K. Brown's character a little bit, he was married, and then his wife caught him in bed with another man,
Mm.
and then basically, I believe he had children, and they don't speak to him anymore, and basically he's now kind of trying to live, his life as as an
It's
open
authentic
out
life.
yeah,
Yeah.
authentic life as an open out gay man, which is I think hard for him because he's been repressed for so long,
Yep.
and now he's at the point where he's just like, well, I'm just gonna do me. He's doing coke. He was a doctor.
Yeah. Do
He's
you
doing
think
cocaine.
he's a plastic surgeon? Do you think he
Yeah,
did cocaine before all this happened?
probably so.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking he's dabbled in this booger sugar for a while.
Well, but that's the thing is because he's probably partying and doing his thing and whatnot, and he's dealing with the fact is like he can't fully be himself, and then that's for a
Mm.
lot of people a lot of people that I have come in contact with who are like heavy into drugs is like they feel like there's a part of himself that they can't show, and then the drugs is a escape from their reality that they're dealing with on a daily basis. Obviously that's not the same for everyone, but like for this character, that was definitely kind of part of it.
Absolutely. And then also remember he has that the same scene on the beach after the wedding at the house, the beach house, and he's like, Dad never knew that I was gay. Maybe he suspected, but I never got to tell him. And then Monk is like, but what if he would have, rejected you? And he's like, at least he would have known the whole me.
Yeah.
And that makes me profoundly sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this movie got bars.
Yeah.
This movie got bars. And then, it's like I said, like the trailers will make you think it's all focused on Monk, who's trying to write this one novel. There's no interest really from his publisher. He's not really, his career's in the tank. He just did this writer's summit where like it was poorly attended, especially compared to Issa Rae's character Sinatra Golden, and her she's incredibly educated, but then she writes this like "We's good in the hood" or some shit.
Yeah,
We's live in the ghetto, and that was hilarious when she's like speaking so by the way, Issa Rae, man, her fucking smile. There's always a moment where I'm like, man, is Issa Rae bad? And then she smiles. And I'm like, yep. Yep, she
this
is.
is the thing with Issa Rae. It's not the smile for me.
Okay.
She just has fucking flawless skin.
Okay. I was thinking that too. She has some really smooth ass cocoa butter skin, right?
Like Brandon, like she reminds me of someone very specific, and like it's the skin. I'm just like, oh.
She reminds me of my ex from college a little bit.
Mm.
You remember the Asian girlfriend, right?
No.
Were you around during that?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Well, gonna keep moving forward.
I don't know. I don't know why you're trying to go down memory lane.
I don't know either. Yeah, that's gonna be the sadness. I mean, yeah, we'll end up like Monk at the end of this movie if he didn't have Sterling K. Brown there now to help him out. Because I did love that authentic ending where it's like, you have the fake outs with the different scenarios, like how maybe he revealed himself and stuff. And then he's like, oh, well, the real Coraline, like she doesn't answer my calls. So it's like they didn't end up together. I thought that was honest. Yeah. Because he does give her a lot of shit for no reason. But that's because he has a lot of tension and stuff building inside of him. And it's so weird because she says she's a fan of his writing. So it's like, dude, just tell her that she liked your shit before. She likes your new shit. She just likes your voice. Just tell her that that's you. Yes. You're not going to jail. Like, because it's not like anyone did a background check on this nigga. He's saying he's an escape. He's on the run from the FBI and shit and all this stuff. And it's like, but bro, if it's revealed that you're not, like, other people have been revealed to do worse shit and lie about worse shit.
People write under pseudonyms all the time.
Exactly.
So I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like, did he create a narrative around the pseudonym that he created, this character, this writer? Yes, and that could be seen as problematic. But at the same time, it's like it's really just about the book. But the thing is, people will be like, well, he's a fraud because all that stuff isn't real. That's not really him. Well, how's he speaking to this experience? And yada, yada. It's just like, well, if you look at our industry, music, rap, nobody is
I was thinking about that.
Those lives anymore.
I was thinking about that exact thing, bro. I was like, art is always full of bullshit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it is fiction. It's not like he's like, well, he did say this is autobiographical. That was the thing with the book Fuck. Oh, yeah. This is my life, right? Which is whatever, man. It's like performance art. Andy Kaufman did this shit. Like, you know what I mean? They could even say he had an episode and just happened to write a book during that moment. Like, maybe he has a split personality. You never fucking know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's not a weird thing because, like, again, there's Stephen King. He wrote under another name because he wanted to just kind of just see what's the fucking, like, do people really, well, that's the thing. I feel like a lot more people would do it if they could. Yeah, I don't think you can necessarily do it that well these days because of how dialed in everybody is with everything. Yeah. But like, I think that he wanted to see if people really fuck with him or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
or is it is just a hype that's built around him? Would do people even care about my writing? Like, am I really all that good, or people just caught up in the hype? I'm talking to Stephen King. You know what I'm saying? That when he did it.
Mhm.
So like, and I think this one is obviously done. It comes from a different place, but at the same time, you know, that's
Well,
why people do that.
yeah, I get it. But he's also, I think that's the interesting thing about it. It's that Monk has a lot to reconcile,
Yeah.
both with himself and his family. And he's one of those people, and I found myself to be like this as well. And I've worked with a lot over the past few years with therapy and stuff to not do this, but he's very judgmental. He's very much like, I'm gonna judge your shit and not really reflect on what I'm doing and the
Yeah.
fucked up shit I do to myself, to other people, because he's constantly giving his brother shit about his drug habit, about not contributing towards the mom's health care and stuff like that. I mean, even though it seemed like Sterling K. Brown wasn't starving, he lived in a big ass house and was
Yeah.
doing cocaine constantly.
Yeah, he has little boy toys out there.
Yeah, plastic surgeons, they make some money.
Yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Make money
But
unless you fucking people up, making them look
no,
like the goddamn
make
Clayface.
make him look like Mickey Rourke. Um, but at the same time, he lost a lot of money on the divorce. She
Yes.
took a lot. She took almost everything.
Yeah.
So he's kind of rebuilding.
Yes. I
But
mean,
he's still making money. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that was also interesting about the family dynamic is that because of their father, who I'm my understanding through the dialogue and everything like that, just not a good guy, just not a good person, right? Had a lot of issues, had some affairs, was just messy, right? And so I think,
Well, so
oh,
hold
sorry,
on, step back into that. Just like,
yeah,
so you find out that his father ultimately killed himself.
yep,
He killed himself in that house. Um,
that his
and
mom still lives in and stuff with
yes.
their home
Well,
help
no, the
slash
mom
close
doesn't
friend.
live there. The mom doesn't live there. That seems to be like a second house of theirs. So they go because that house was pretty much abandoned. Because
Are you talking about the
Caroline,
beach house?
yes,
I thought he killed himself at their house
no, in the
in the
beach house.
city. Oh,
No, he
okay.
killed himself at the beach house.
Got it. Okay.
Um, so with that, and like she's like, you know, Jeffrey Wright's character asks, Monk. He asks his mom, is like, why did you knew about his affairs? Why didn't you leave him? He's like, because he would just been more lonely. So
Mhm.
she knew that he had some mental issues and things like that he was dealing with, which obviously ultimately led to him taking his own life. But so like he was a very that character. I wish we had more of that. I wish we got something of that character, or we
Mm.
got a little bit more information about it, because I feel like through knowing that character, we could have understood some of these other characters a little bit better and what they, where they went, stuff like that. But I think what we did get was we were learning about that character through Monk, because everyone's like, you're very much like that. And he's like, because he was a very intelligent person, but I think the thing was he was dealing with things, but he dealt with it by acting out, because he didn't he's like he was a genius, like the mom said. He's like, he's a genius, like you're a genius just like him. Is like you guys are very similar. And I think in that way it's just like he didn't understand how to he didn't outwardly express to the people around, the people love you and confide in people's, which led to him going, probably acting out the way that he did, and
Yeah.
ultimately ending the way that he did.
Yeah. I mean, family's messy as fuck, bro. Family will fuck you up. Family will
Mhm.
fuck you up. I mean,
And also Tracy Ellis Ross, she dies. Spoiler alert,
yeah,
she
I
dies
did not
within
see
the
that
first
come.
15,
I
20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I went into this movie knowing nothing. I
Yeah.
just saw the poster. I'd seen the trailer. I knew Cord Jefferson wrote that phenomenal episode of Watchmen, the black and white episode about the
Mhm.
black soldier that becomes the superhero. And he also wrote A Good Place. I've heard mixed things about him as a co-writer, as a writer, a fellow writer in a room but that's one person's perspective. Um, and so I was really interested in this movie. Mind you, I did see with an all-white audience at my screening, which I'll talk about maybe in a little bit. But I was like, oh shit, Tracy Ellis Ross is in this. And then when she abruptly they're having like afternoon drinks or some shit, and then she just collapses and then she dies. I was like, fuck. Because they just talked about how she's the one kind of keeping everything together with the mom. And
Yeah.
Muck is making excuses like, oh, I gotta go back and work on my book, and then the college is gonna take me back soon. And then Sterling K. Brown's character, we don't meet him until about 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
So you
He
already
comes
get an
knocking
idea.
like a hurricane.
Yeah. Well, no, it's very quiet the moment that he shows up because it's at the beach when they're spreading her ashes.
Yeah. But then after that, he's off to the races.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you on cloud nine doing cocaine and everything, but I thought that she was incredibly impactful in the time that she
Yeah.
had on screen. Tracy Ellis Ross just looks God fucking beautiful. Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
And it gave you enough of like the family dynamic. I would have loved to see the three of them in the scene together, like the siblings.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is sometimes you get robbed of those moments. And I think that also goes into the feeling of regret in this family, where Sterling K. Brown also has to reconcile the fact that he never got to say goodbye to his sister, and he never had got a moment with her like he should have. You know, the way that Monk did. Obviously, it was a tragic moment, but at least Monk got to see her before she passed.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
this shit's real, man. I mean, I don't have sibling. Well, I do now. I have a sister, but it's just it rocks you, man. If you got family dynamics and your family's a little messy, which every family's messy, don't
Mhm.
deny that shit. Um, I really love that. I think a lot of people they've been shook by it because it's not what it seems from the trailer. And I think you're thinking, oh, I'm going to see almost like the Black Producers, where he ironically put this thing together and now it's going to fall apart and ruin his life. And it's like, no. At the end of the day, he doesn't even need to say it's him.
Yeah.
He can just keep collecting those checks, and it is what it is. He
Well, I
really
mean,
can.
so that's the one. So there's two things that I kind of wish, um, we got more of or less of. So number one, when he first started writing the book, we had Keith David,
Yep.
in the film, and I
Acting
can't.
out the scene with a
Yeah,
young
I
actor.
can't
Yeah.
remember the other guy who's a young actor. I don't know by his name, but they were kind of acting out those characters, and I kind of wish that we got to see those characters come back, like like somebody do readings and things like that, and then we
Yeah.
see those characters come back again. So that was a really that was a different and fun kind of dynamic. And then actually that character speaking to him and all that kind of stuff. Like I thought that was kind of cool. I kind of wish we saw a little bit more of that, even though I understand why you don't get more of it, because the writing of the book wasn't a long drawn out process. It was like it was done. He handed it to his publisher. It was like,
Yep.
hey, this is what I got. But again, I would have liked to see more than that, because for one, I love Keith David. He's
Yeah.
always great in that, everything he does. That fucking voice alone,
Yep.
and that was just that was a different kind of fun scene.
It also
And
got to see some of Monk's creative process. If that's
yes,
how he writes other books, where he's like acting out and he's interacting with the characters and trying to stay authentic to them. Um, but again, we don't quite know. But if that was a hint at his creative process, that was also interesting.
yeah. Then the other part is I wasn't a super big fan of the ending with the like
With the different scenarios and everything.
yeah, the different scenarios. I understood why, and like I'm not 100% mad at it, but I wish we would have got some sort of finality, with the ending of the film. Even though like yes, we kind of got it, but it's like, it was told to us, but it's like I'd rather see it, you know?
I get it. I get it. I mean, it's possible also that that was like in footage that they shot. Core Jefferson at that screening, he actually did a Q&A.
Mm.
Um, I would say he probably should do fewer of those and just leave it to Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown to take the lead. But he talked about how like the studio did push him to try to cut some stuff. Like they wanted to cut the wedding, and
Oh no.
he said it was really important for Monk to see that love.
Yeah.
between the woman who's helped his mom out and was kind of like the housekeeper and the local sheriff at the beach house. Like they
Yep.
immediately have a vibe. I guess they maybe had a history. Then they get together, and then over the course of the movie, we see their romance blossom. He proposes. They end up getting married at the family house, beach house and stuff. And that's actually a sweet moment too, where she is like their second mom, it seems, and she accepts Sterling K. Brown's character, where
Yeah.
his mom had previously rejected him.
Well, and that's the only acceptance that he's gotten from matriarchal or patriarchal
Yeah,
you know, figure, in his family. And even though, yeah, she's not family, but she is family. You spend that much time with your family.
absolutely. So, um, yeah, man, this movie hit me on a lot of different angles. I wasn't expecting it. I was like, damn, American Fiction, what the fuck? Like, this is number 3 on my list for 2023
2023. Yeah.
top films. I think Jeffrey Wright is just a steady anchor who this is it's so unfortunate that he gets such few leading roles.
Yeah.
I think this might be his first real leading role in a
Yeah,
feature
because he's
film.
always a
Supporting
secondary,
actor.
yeah, supporting actor or just like a bit actor somewhere
Yeah.
pops up and he's gone.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's
other than what if the Disney
oh
thing?
yeah, true, true. Yeah, even then he's not the lead, he's the narrator, but he's not,
Yeah,
but at least he gives some Marvel money,
true, very true.
but it it made me like I was very happy that a lot of these black actors got like a great opportunity to showcase their talent, both from an acting standpoint, directing standpoint, writing standpoint. But it also made me incredibly sad because then in order to get movies like this made, you have to deal with producers like the Adam Brody character,
Hmm.
who I've met a lot of guys like that.
Yeah,
I did laugh really hard though when Monk is looking. He's listening out for ambulance in case his mom, who's like, mental situations getting worse and worse by the day. If anything happens with her, while he's having this meeting with this film exec, and then he hears a siren and it's like, I gotta go. Mind you, this dude thinks he's on the run from the FBI.
yeah.
So when he hears the sirens, I was like, this nigga's gonna think that he's
Hmm.
on red alert because of the government trying to get him. And I just laughed so hard. He's like, "Yeah, they loved you, man." He was like, "You're so authentic.
Yeah.
You ran out before you even ate."
Oh God. Have you ever been in the situation where somebody just misconstrued everything about you, who you are, and made just like that jump decision of just like, oh, you're probably this struggling black man from a hard background and stuff like that, or or whatever. And I think, as a black male, especially,
Mm,
uh, any of us, at some point somebody makes just this snap judgment of who they see you as in their head without even fucking knowing you, right?
yeah.
And like there's been a few situations in my acting career where somebody said something, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. And it's like it gets to the point where you don't even want to correct them anymore. You're just like, whatever. I don't have time for this. At this point,
Mm.
like I don't want to explain myself. And like, have you dealt with that a lot?
Not, I would say not in the past like few years, but when I was growing
Yeah.
up, I dealt with it a lot in Michigan.
Mm,
I
yeah.
dealt with a lot in Ann Arbor just because, we weren't like the upper class or anything like that, but like I did okay. Like I didn't have the best things, but I had decent stuff. I had a decent living and stuff like that. Like I wasn't dirt poor or anything like that.
Mm,
But a lot of these white families would definitely be like, "What's your story?" And are you here on Scott? Like I was going to public school, but then there'd be things I would do, and they'd be like, "Oh, like for instance, like clubs and stuff like that," or they would be surprised that I was able to get tutoring. They're like, "Oh, you can afford tutoring." There was this one woman who was like the biggest bitch. She was her son. I did Boy Scouts with him, and I was rowing crew, and she always gave me the vibe that I didn't deserve to be there.
lovely. Lovely.
And mind you, she was one of the owners. She was one of the owners. I guess she helped, like, was one of the people that funded this, the equipment and stuff like that. And she always, everything, like whether it was scouts or crew, It made me feel like I didn't deserve to be there. And that's why in my shark script, I kill her in the most vicious way. Um, kept the name and everything. I don't go fuck. But yeah, like that definitely that's some stuff that I dealt with growing up. And so, but for me, that's unfortunately that was just the environment I was in. And you know, with that woman particularly, she had a lot of power in Ann Arbor, or at least
Yeah.
like in the things that I was involved in. And so that's where I really learned about power dynamic and how
You have
you
to kind of
you
get
reflect
along.
on this and you just think, okay, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I'm in a position where I don't need to be around you anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's the least I can do to protect myself. Um, but yeah, that's the stuff that comes to mind immediately when I think about that.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been in spaces and like people, I mean, but also, especially when we were, starting out and things like that, you know, I I wouldn't necessarily think that I looked like I came from, tougher means or things like that, but I could see how somebody could jump to that, could
I
jump to
mean,
that.
you know why? You know why, Justin? Because you
Why?
black. You
Well,
black.
of course.
Dark skin.
No, no, yeah, of course. But like, I just feel like there were a lot of
Oh,
times where people thought that like I was just,
and
going.
yeah, and I think that's interesting because I think that they didn't touch on it at all in American fiction, but Sterling K. Brown's a dark skinned man, Jeffrey Wright's light skin. And you and I have the same parallel, right?
Hmm.
And so I think it's interesting because I think because I'm lighter and because we and I tease myself about it, like growing up I would wear like khakis, like I would look very preppy and
Mm.
shit. So I think I got less assumptions of the stereotype because of the way I carried myself and the way I just behaved. Because I'm surrounded by white people, so like I
Yeah.
naturally adopted like certain mannerisms and behaviors and shit. And so I think because of that, that's why I didn't get as much exposure
Mm.
to that. As in fact, I think sometimes when I came, especially when I came to New York and went to St. John's, it was kind of the reverse.
Yeah.
It was
You
like
was like,
people think I'm so fucking corny and white, and it's like, no, I'm just Brandon. Like I like black shit. Like I'm just me. Like it's hard to fit me into what you stereotypically think is a black man,
yeah.
whether it's you know being ignorant or you think it's supposed to be like the strong masculine dude that like is what I mean. It's I never fit into those
Yeah.
expectations,
The
so
archetypes.
I used to get it all from both sides at some point.
Mm. Yeah. It's just,
But colorism fits into it too.
yeah,
We'd be remiss not to mention that.
100%. But, going back to the film, I think what they did a great job at really exploring, because like yeah, the movie is about the book and all of that, but it's really about how the family dynamic and how Jeffrey Wright's character not feeling 100% fulfilled in
Mm,
his craft,
yep.
fulfilled in his spot in his family, led to the book, because all of that plays into who he is in his everyday life and in society, and how he didn't, at a certain point he didn't feel like he was being heard anymore, and he felt like his
Yeah.
voice didn't matter, which then led to that book, which then yeah.
I mean, I think for me, like when the book starts getting accolades and he gets invited to be part of that critics group where they select like the best book of the year, and ironically, fuck ends up getting like to the top of the line. I was very much like, I mean, just take the W. No one knows it's you. And I get it. It was frustrating for him as a proprietor of like the nicest, the finest kind of literature and having these high expectations and shit. But it's like the people around him were fucking crazy. They let that one blatantly racist writer be part of the group. You had Issa Rae's character on the other end of the spectrum. And I thought it was really interesting, that conversation, because I feel like
Yeah.
that could be read a bunch of different ways. For me, I felt that she was kind of salty about fuck because it was in contention for that award.
Yeah.
And it was hitting the same numbers as her book, but in fact getting more acclaim. And it's
Hmm.
probably because of sexism, like from her perspective, it's because it's a man and so his book is obviously going to get more clout. But it also felt like a little bit of bitterness because it's on the verge of getting that big award. Because it's essentially like Jeffrey Wright tries to say, it's like we kind of like it's the same stories. Like it's the same like kind of like this
is exactly what you do.
This weird exploitation of this like these people in this environment. And we're telling these stories that just fit the stereotypes. And then she was like, "Oh, but I spend time with these people and stuff like that." But I'm like, that still doesn't negate his argument, though.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting conversation because it was one of those things where, like, in a way, no one's wrong, but then they're both wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, they kind of leave the conversation because the other white critics come in and stuff like that. They just stop it. But it was very much like this happens a lot. And I don't think there's ever, because people feel like, oh, I've been attacked, or like, you don't get me, we're not going to revisit this conversation. I would have loved for them to revisit that conversation to like show that this can continue. These kind of conversations can continue.
And be in a positive space. I mean,
I don't even think it has to be in a positive space.
No. Well, I'm saying like you can actually have, you can have a disagreement, but it doesn't have to be like, oh, you're a fucking hater or yada yada yada. But you can just literally talk this kind of stuff out because it's important to talk about it because both sides are learning something from it, and I think that's the thing that we no longer have. Because you can't talk about anything. There's like this is a no-fly zone, and then if it's a no-fly zone, then it's just like you just have uncharted waters that are always just going to be there. And like how do you ever connect?
Yeah, that conversation was interesting, but also frustrating because I think people of color are particularly hard on themselves and each other.
Yep, true.
And I think that not reconciling or not coming back together to continue that conversation really is more hurtful than it is productive.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of, I think that was the intention of that scene, is to frustrate you a little bit. And I do think there's a lot of things, a lot of elements and dynamics at play there, which I think is a testament to Cord Jefferson's writing and the performances he got from Jeffrey Wright at Issa Rae. It just, for me, this felt like a movie that could easily be misinterpreted by white audiences. And it's kind of like what was it? The Will Smith. I hate that like every other episode we bring this shit up, but the Will Smith Chris Rock thing, right? What were black people saying? You don't fight in front of white folk, right? And I think having that conversation, but not having any real resolution to it, gives white people the interpretation of, hey, I can be critical of black things too, because they don't even have their own shit figured out, but I will say, seeing this with a predominantly white audience at the one screening I went to, Tatiana saw it twice, so she had a different experience at the second screening, which is predominantly people of color. The first audience, it felt sometimes like white people didn't realize that they were part of the joke.
Yeah.
Like part of like the satire of like, hey, this is how y'all see us, but actually y'all the idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or y'all the fucking
is like, so we
dirtbags.
feed you bullshit because you love the bullshit, because that's the only way we get ahead, unfortunately.
Yep.
And and to the point you were making earlier about the fact is like he should have just taken it. I think that speaks to the fact is that Jeffrey Wright's character Monk, he's getting in his own way, whether it be creatively, personally, professionally. He's always getting in his own way because he's in his head about a lot of these things.
Yeah, I mean that's a creative catch-22, right? It's like you can get into this loop where you're questioning yourself, you have imposter syndrome, you don't think you're good enough, you don't think you deserve praise when you do get it. It's a mind fuck to be a creative in general. I will say the one big egregious thing though about the white folks that I saw this movie with was that they would say, the white people, particularly Adam Brody's character, would say some problematic shit, or like, the book publisher, things like that. And there would be, especially white women who would be like, I say that, or I've done that. And it's like, that's not a proud thing. It just shows that Cord Jefferson's being honest in how these people are, but you shouldn't. Okay.
You shouldn't identify.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, have that connection. Have that connection, because that's what art is, right? You should be connected to something that you're seeing on screen or in a book, what have you, right? But you also have to do the work to reconcile that the things that you're engaging in and the behavior you're engaging in can be hurtful and harmful. And I think that's what these people were missing. Is that, yes, this is satire, but this shit really fucks with you as a person of color.
Yeah.
Like it's like these microaggressions, and for me, it's a dark reminder that everything the past few years after the George Floyd thing was purely performative.
Oh, for sure.
No deep changes happen.
Yeah.
Everything's performative. The DEI initiatives, all those people at the studios, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all bullshit. And so for me, that was what was frustrating about seeing this with white critics. Is like, I'm like, y'all not trying to do the work. You're just trying to enjoy this entertainment, but you're not seeing what Cord is trying to say about how the entertainment industry treats writers and creatives of color. And that was frustrating.
The fact that they went to that festival and they're just like sitting in a closet with like, 6 other people, when he was on that panel,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did a panel like that in LA. I was like, I've been there. And it was a black focused panel. It was a black, all black writers and creatives, an all black audience, and it was sparsely attended. It was a good cause, but there was no one there.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it really is, because like, and you don't realize, because I've gone to a few things, different levels and such, which are more geared towards the black experience and things like that, and there's literally nobody there. So you're just like, oh, nobody cares about this. No, like, why am I even here? And it's always moderated, or like the person heading it is this white person who's just very just like, it's like, oh, we're doing so much right now. But like, like it just seems it's very surface level. It's very surface level. And then when you start talking about some real shit, it's like, oh, we got another question over here. Like, all right, just cut me off. Just cut me off. But then the only time where you get the real talks, the real the real work gets done, it's after the thing is over, and that person, maybe 1 or 2 people come up to you and you have that really solid conversation. And it's like, that's why it was worth it. That's why I came into this room. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Realest thing ever. You ever said. Lluvia in the chat asked, do you think this movie will get any Oscar noms? I do. I don't think it's going to win anything, which is hilarious, because a few weeks ago, Hollywood Reporter had this movie at the top of the list in regards to potential winners. Best Picture had American Fiction up #1. Best adapted screenplay had Cord Jefferson #1. Had Cord Jefferson in the running for Best Director. And since then, this shit has dropped down a few spots for Best Picture. It's going to get nominated, but it's no longer the front runner. All those spots, it's slowly been dropping. I think that's because more people are seeing it and hopefully waking up to coming to the realization that, oh, this is actually, it's talking about how I'm a piece of shit, particularly in the entertainment industry. But I think it's also, if I'm being honest, it's too black. It's presented with it's presented through a palatable story, an accessible story for white audiences. But I think once you get into it, you're just like spending 2 hours with this black family trying to figure some shit out.
Yeah.
And also dealing with identity crisis that you probably can't identify with, because you don't know what it's like to struggle with that.
Yep.
And balance that. Code switching's a motherfucker, man.
Yeah. Because, again, imposter syndrome. This is like, talk about imposter syndrome. Try having the code switch all the time, and then at some point, who the fuck are you?
Yep. It's crazy, man. I mean, and then you do all this work, and then you, at the end of the day, you don't want to be regretful and think, was it worth it? Or, in the case of Monk and his brother, there's an opportunity there, especially if Monk hadn't had a Coraline there for a little bit to help like him bring him up a little bit, where he would have gone the same fate as his father.
Yeah.
Because you get so caught in despair between your career, between your love life or lack thereof, and then you're seeing your mom lose her mind. She can't take care of herself, right? You just lost your sister, who was kind of the rock at this point. What's the point?
Yeah.
I've worked so hard to be as great as I can be, to do work that I think is authentically me and means the world to me and that I deeply am passionate about, and no one gives a fuck. And for anyone listening to this that feels that way, who, whether it's about creative work or personal life, whoever, and you're spending time sometimes asking, why, what's the point, who gives a fuck, who gives a fuck about me, know that someone cares.
Yeah.
No one, someone thinks about you. Like, I think that's really important. I don't think we say that enough. Especially given all the fucked up shit that's happening in the world. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to take a moment to like say that, like, someone cares. Because also we've heard about a lot of comedians that have taken their lives recently,
Yeah.
and life fucking is tough. It sucks, especially when you have a creative mind that sometimes you can't shut down, or you feel like you're not getting your just desserts, or maybe you got in your own way, like Monkhead does a few times. And yeah, that comes with regret. That comes with um wishing, that you could have done things differently, but you have to keep moving forward and keep moving forward, knowing that someone cares about you and that you care about yourself. It's
And just to touch on the thing, like, we had gentleman, Kenny, the comedian that passed away recently. And yeah, I didn't know him, and I'm not gonna pretend like I did know the guy, things like that. But one of those
rest in
things,
peace, Kenny DeForest, by the
yeah,
way. That's what you're referring to.
yes, everything that the one thing that I learned through that is that regardless of the fact that I didn't know who he was, in life, seeing the way that people reacted to his death
Mm,
and the way that people spoke about him, that's all you want.
yeah.
Because everybody's talked about that, like he was a really solid guy, and they enjoyed their time around him and things like that. That is, it's somebody need, there's so many ways to look at it, but the way I look at it, like, that's a fulfilled life. Like,
Yeah.
you've made connections like that with people,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times people don't know that they've made those connections, and that people care about them that much until it's too late. And like, but that, I hope that people see, like, in cases like that, is just like, oh, you may not realize, but there are people who really, really fuck with you and really, really care about you. And that's a
Mm,
powerful thing. That's a
yeah.
super powerful thing. So, and to your point, it's just, people really need to realize that, like, you do have a community. You just, sometimes you can't see it, but it's there for you. And you have to embrace the life that you have.
Yeah. Live the life you got.
Love the one you're with.
That's what I
Mhm.
was trying to say. I couldn't remember that lyric. Um, we did get some Patriot thoughts on American fiction, and folks, remember you sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/medium popcorn. You're guaranteed to have your thoughts and reviews of that film that we're covering right on that episode. So first up, we have Sean the Terrible, who wrote, "I'm so mad. I can't find a screen for this in the Detroit area. God damn." I mean, he didn't say God damn, he put a rolling eye emoji, but I get what you're trying to say, Sean. Darren Patterson wrote, "Absolutely loved it. I knew the movie would have some sharp satire in it. The agent's line about how Hollywood is run on book reports and the Black History Month TV promo was hilarious, but I wasn't expecting the movie to focus mainly on the family and have so much heart and depth to it. Really loved the emotional moments in this film and thought the discussion about Black art between Monk and Sinatra was fantastic. I saw an interview with Cord Jefferson where he said that Jeffrey Wright was an actor that everyone agrees is incredible, but hasn't been the lead in a movie since Basquiat, not Basquiat. Here's hoping this movie changes that, because he is the heart and soul of this film and absolutely knocks it out of the park. The movie gets an XL, and I'm definitely going to watch it again in the theaters. And I hope that that's true, Darren, but it's also Hollywood, and it's crazy.
Yep.
Uh, Simba Jackson,
He's seen the very much lower tier actors
yep.
be leading in films. Like, why not this guy?
Listen, because with Black actors, this could be Jeffrey Wright's first Oscar nom. That doesn't mean it's going to help his career. Taraji just did a tour for The Color Purple where she insinuated that after she got the Oscar nom for Benjamin Button, that Hollywood people considered it a fluke.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's just you just got lucky there. Like, not that you're a talented actress that deserves to get paid more now because she's Oscar nominated. Sybil Jackson wrote, I've only been to Alamo Drafthouse twice, once for Black Klansman and the other for American Fiction. Both times I was the only Black person in the theater. The white people around me were just laughing at the Black folk. All to be quiet and somber by movies, and I'm not quite sure what that sentence was supposed to say, but love it when I get to see white people sad about how trash they are. Solid movie. Tracy was wasted. The renaissance of Erica Alexander needs to be spoken about more. The conversation with Jeffrey and Issa could have more depth. I rated a large. Okay. Fair, fair. Justin, break down our rating system, baby.
Stop calling me baby. So, guys, you know how we do this. We rate movies bags of popcorn, small, medium, large, and the XL for the exceptional. If a film doesn't deserve any popcorn, we throw it into the dog shit pile. We pile piles and piles of dog shit on top of it. So, Brandon, we sat down and watched the 2023 film American Fiction, starring Jeffrey Wright, Tracy Ellis Ross, Issa Rae, Sterling K. Brown, John Ortiz, Erica Alexander, Leslie Uggams.
Think
That's
so.
what I'm gonna go with, and Adam Brody, and of course the voice, Mr. Keith David.
He was in it for 2 minutes, but
No,
I know
I
you're a
love
fan.
Keith David.
I know
You
you're a
leave me
fan.
alone, Brandon. What say you, sir?
Yeah, this gets a XL. Like I said, it's one of my top films of 2023. I thought the performance is phenomenal. The writing, like I said, had bars. Cord Jefferson definitely has well, he definitely has a career in this industry, and I'm looking forward to see what he says next because this is the adaptation of a book. I don't know how closely it follows that book, but I'd be curious to see what he does in an original standpoint, especially given his work on Watchmen and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see what his next project is. I'll definitely be there, and then just go from there in regards to what I think of his work and if I'll stay consistently a fan. But for now, I am a fan. But the performances are what made this movie. Jeffrey Wright, phenomenal. Tracy Ellis Ross did great with the time she had. And Sterling K. Brown's just the MVP always. And I really hope this gets some awards love. But if not, I can rest easy know that this is a great piece of work that all these actors will be proud of and they should be proud of. Justin, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give this a large as well. I just feel
Well, I give
like
it an XO.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said XL. I'm sorry. I think you said large. I'm gonna give it a large. I think it hit on a lot of things that if you're a creative that you feel, and you know, and we spoke about most of it on nauseam of this episode, so I'm not going to go through it all again. But I think that they did a really good job with most of it, and like the few little things that I spoke about earlier. I think that this movie was like it was one of those things like this is just what I needed to see right now.
Yeah.
And especially just understanding like the someone who like feels like he gets in his own way at times and whatnot. It's definitely a film that if you're a creative you should check out, or just if you have a family, we all have a family. You'll get something from this because the family dynamic of this film is really what this film is about, and basically how that family dynamic kind of touches and filters into every aspect of your life, and that's super important for people to realize, and I think that's it was very well executed in this film. So that's a large from me.
All right. Well, you heard our review on American Fiction, folks. As always, you can follow me at Frodo_Blackens on Threads and Instagram. You can follow the show at Medium P Podcast on all the social media platforms, including TikTok. Be sure to subscribe on there. We post videos and all good stuff over there. And then youtube.com/Medium P Podcast. Push that subscribe button so you get alerted about all future reviews like this one and celebrity interviews. And Justin, if people want to support the show financially, what can they do, my brother? As well as follow you on the social medias.
Guys, you want to follow me on the socials. Jay Brown did it. But if you would like to support this show, continue supporting us, you can go over to patreon.com/medium popcorn. If you're already supporting, tell your friends, they go over there as well. But we have $2, $5, $10, and $15 packages. Our entire backlog of the episodes that we've done on this show go right to Patreon. We also have bonus episodes. We have mini episodes. We have so much content over there that if you're really looking to, spend some time with Brandon and Justin and the gang, because we got you here, we got Tati, we got the force over here. Y'all need to be on Patreon. Again, one more time, it's patreon.com/medium popcorn.
That's right. Clap your hands, stomp your feet. It's a holiday, y'all. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.
Peace.